Assalamu alaikum. إن الحمد لله تعالى نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا ومن يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Indeed, all praise is due to Allah. We praise Him. We seek refuge with Allah from the evil in our soul and from our sinful deeds. Those who are guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no one can misguide them. Those who are not guided by Allah, there is no guide for them. I bear witness that there is no deity, there is no God worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his servant and messenger. O you who believe and fear Allah as He should be revered and die not except as Muslims. Don't worry, it's just a spilled cup of coffee. Everything's okay. Nobody got burned, right? Alhamdulillah. So that's good. Alhamdulillah. I'd like to welcome you to the Islamic Society League of American Muslims, an organization that was established for da'wah and for nurturing, educating, and empowering those people who have come this way. We have a policy here that we accept you no matter where you are in your faith journey. We're not here to judge you. We're not here to castigate you. We're here to encourage you and empower you in the true and peaceful message of Islam. So we welcome you all here today. And I'd like to welcome some people back that haven't been with us for a while. Dr. Sadia, may Allah bless you, the moral compass of your family. For bringing us Dr. Nasser back too. So we're very happy to see both of you, and may Allah continue to bless you and your family, and may your father rest in peace, inshallah. Dr. Sadia's father passed away, and so let's remember him. Well, Kima, it is so good to see you. It's been a while. It's so good for you to be back with us. Alhamdulillah. And Mark and the kids, it's so good to see you guys. It's been a while. We're very happy to have you back with us. And Dr. Butler's brother, Nassim, is here. We are so happy to have you with us for the first time. And hopefully, anytime you're here, you'll come and be with us, inshallah. Is there anybody here for the first time? Would you please stand up and introduce yourself?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Imran.
Imran? And how did you hear about the class?
We actually spoke to Imam Tariq because I recently got engaged to Aaron, right next to me, and we wanted to come for classes. Inshallah, hopefully, have nikkahs.
Very good. Aaron and Imran, welcome. We hope that this will be the first of many times that you're here. And who else is here for the first time? Anybody on this side of the room? Yes. No, I introduced him. I welcomed him and introduced him. What about on this side? Who's here for the first time? Anybody? Okay, alhamdulillah. Just want to make sure everybody gets welcomed and recognized, alhamdulillah, for being here. I'd just like to draw your attention to a few announcements. We had a wonderful potluck last night. 47 people was the count that I got. I don't know if that was accurate, but it was either 47 or more. We had a lovely time, a nice time of fellowship. And so we have that potluck every month. And the next one will be May the 24th at 6 p.m. at St. Luke's United Methodist Church. And I just want to say, some people have complained about the fact that it's in a church. And I'd like to remind you that in the history of Islam, the Christians used to come and worship in the masjid. And once upon a time, the cross was leaned up against the wall in the masjid. And it fell. And Saladin went and picked up the cross and put it back on the wall. So, it's a building. It's just a building. It happens to belong to the church. But they let us use it, and they don't charge us rent. And so hopefully, inshallah, if any of you struggle with that, please talk to me and I can give you sufficient evidence that we should not have a problem to go sit and eat in a building that belongs to a church. They are dhimmis, they are people of the book, and we should really not have a problem with that. So just wanted to share that. It's important. The other thing is that we collect non-perishable food items every week, bag of beans, a can of food. If everybody could bring a bag of beans or a can of food, we do take that to a local shelter. That's our contribution to community effort. So it's a form of dawah as well. We also collect unbroken cell phones. We haven't been getting many of them lately, but if you have cell phones in the bottom drawer, on top of the refrigerator, under the bed, in your nightstand, that are not being used, if you bring them, we don't need the cords and all of that stuff, but they do need to be unbroken. Then we can convert those phones and they can be used for victims of domestic violence. Also, empty ink and toner cartridge go in this box, and we're able to get a little money. So far, we've raised about 15 bucks from the cartridges that you brought in. Every little bit helps. When the box goes around today, by the way, you may wonder what that box is for. This week on Tuesday, I believe it is, I'll be giving 3 lectures or 4, I'm not sure, at Eastern Florida State. I'll let my wife keep up with that. Whenever I need to stand up and speak, I do. And I think we go back Thursday and do 2 more, something like that. Anyway, we'll be there. So that money helps us to put a translation of the Holy Quran in the hands of every person that we speak to, and helps buy gas and those kind of things. It helps buy refreshments and things like that, so that when we get together we have physical nourishment as well as spiritual nourishment. If you would like to know what's going on with the group and you don't know, and you wonder why you don't know, you'll contact 407-288-6931. And that's Baysoon, who's standing up over there in the yellow and the blue. And she'll fix it so that you can know what's going on in the group. The website is islamic.org. All of the classes that are taught are eventually uploaded to YouTube. So you can go there and watch the classes, and we need likes. Is that correct, Tennyson? Mm-hmm. We need people to say, I like this website. The more people that we can get to say, I like this website, eventually the organization can even get money because we're getting so many hits.
Even subscribe to the YouTube.
And share it.
Subscribe, share, and like. Facebook, like. YouTube, subscribe, and share.
Even Facebook can share.
Okay. So last week, yes, sister.
I've been quite sick for a long time. And a lot of y'all have helped me with making dinners and stuff my children have eaten. And I just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart and all the prayers, because it's been very touch and go a lot of times. But thank you, everyone, so much.
You're welcome. Yes, as a matter of fact, I think it was Thursday night. I'm a little lost on time because I was only supposed to come back from North Carolina Friday, and I cut my trip short and came back. But Kathy's Kaylin had a play. Their school put on The Sound of Music, and there were 7 Muslims there. I think Kaylin had the most visitors of all the students there. And that's just really neat, and we're going to be going back to that school and speaking to them about Islam as well. So, and that's Woodruff Elementary, right? Yeah, and that's a school over on Lakemont in Winter Park. So that's what that little box, the little red box over there, when you put a buck in there, you're supporting dawah. You may not be able to do it yourself, but you can support other people to do it, and that's really important. So last Sunday, we talked about Passover and we talked about Easter, and I showed you some discrepancies in the King James about that. And we looked at that and we examined that, and I think it's very apropos that how things are just falling into place. Because we talked about that, and this week when we look in when we go back to the Quran and the tafsir of the Quran in Surah Baqarah, it talks about the children of Israel. And so, having talked about the Passover and some of the misconceptions of Easter and some of the paganism that's involved last week, we're going to go back to the week before and pick up where we left off. So there may be just a tiny bit of repetition, but I sort of doubt you're going to remember 2 Sundays ago. And so it'll just, if you say, well, I've seen that before, you'll be right. Some of it will be repetitive, but I felt like it was the place that we should begin.
Rabbits don't give eggs.
This is not right. This is not 3:30, this is 2:30. Oops, just a second, folks, I'll be there in just a minute.
Did I do the same thing on the other slide?
You did. Can you get me to 3:30 over there, sister?
I can.
Rabbits don't lay eggs.
That's right. What a novel concept. So, I would like, while we're getting this corrected, the slide so that you can see and enlarge, I'd like to thank Maysoon and anyone who helped her clean up last night. She always stays and cleans up the fellowship hall that we meet in. Any of you that helped her, I want to acknowledge you. She's here at 10 o'clock every Sunday morning without fail, setting up for refreshments, cleaning up this place. And I just want to acknowledge her. She doesn't like me to do that, but sometimes she doesn't get what she likes. She just has to be acknowledged. So. Also, please remember all the students that are taking exams. I know Yazin was studying diligently for his exams, and Niall is...
He's done.
He's done.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah. He probably feels like he's done too. But just remember any students that are doing exams. It's a stressful time for them, and you watch these students. It's tough to see them struggling to get through these things. So remember those students as well. Oh, and also one more announcement. Ina, there you go. So you saw Ina raise her hand. Ina has 2 rooms in her house for rent, fully furnished, everything's included, electricity, water, not food. Just thought I'd make that clear, for $450 a month. So I think you're looking for ladies only, right? I thought so. And so if you know a sister, a young person, an elderly person, anybody that's looking for a room, Ina would be a delightful landlord.
Yes, she is. Absolutely.
So I think that's all the announcements. So what I wanted to do, just to sort of remind you where we are, I'm going to read chapter 2, Surah Baqarah, starting with verse 40, not the whole, no. O children of Israel, call to mind the special favor which I bestowed upon you, and fulfill your covenant with me as I fulfill my covenant with you, and fear none but me, and believe in what I reveal, confirming the revelation which is with you. What revelation would that be?
Torah.
The Torah. And what is confirming the Torah? The Holy Quran. Okay, very good. And be not the first to reject faith. So here we talk about the first in the long run of monotheists, the Abrahamic faith. And he said, don't be the first to reject this. I'm inviting you first. Don't be the first to reject this. Nor sell my signs for a small price. And fear me and me alone. And cover not truth with falsehood. Nor conceal the truth when you know what it is. And be steadfast in prayer. Practice regular charity. And bow down your heads with those who bow down and worship. Do you enjoin right conduct on the people and forget to practice it yourself? And yet ye study the scriptures? Do you have no sense? Nay, seek Allah's help with patient perseverance and prayer. It is indeed hard, except to those who bring a lowly spirit. And so that's sort of where I want your mind to be today. Just remembering that. The prohibition of hiding the truth and distorting it with falsehoods. Now remember last week we showed you where some truths had been distorted. And I asked you to break up in groups, and you read a story from Matthew and you read a story from Luke. And we found out in that one story Jesus was happy about dying, according to them. And in the other story, he was not too happy about dying. And in one story he said, why have you forsaken me? And in the other, he said, to you I commend my spirit. So what does this demonstrate in the Quran? That these are examples of exactly how people distorted the truth with falsehoods. They added fables, and you saw it for yourself. Okay? Allah forbade the Jews from intentionally distorting the truth with falsehood and from hiding the truth and spreading falsehoods. Yahamakallah. And mix not truth with falsehoods, nor conceal the truth while you know the truth. So, in that time, there was a lot of truth that was known. The prophecy of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was in Deuteronomy, which is the 5th chapter of the Torah, or the Old Testament as we would call it. And these people yet were denying him. And perform a salah, and give zakah, and bow down with the rakiyan, those who go into ruku. Okay? Those who bow with Allah.
What is Jahamakallah?
Yahamakallah is what we're supposed to say when someone sneezes. The blessings of Allah be upon you. It's,
Like a Jazakallah?
no. Jazakallah is thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Allah will give you reward.
Right, yes. Allah forbade them from two things. He ordered them to make the truth known as well as explaining it. So when he said in that verse 40 to the children of Israel, this is what he was talking about. Make the truth known. Don't mix it with falsehoods. Don't sell yourself for a small price. In other words, you're a powerful group right now. You have the lobby, but don't sell yourself. Fear Allah. This is sort of the message. Adhahak said that Ibn Abbas mentioned the ayah, verse 42, and mix not truth with falsehoods, and said, do not mix the truth with falsehoods and the facts with lies. Qatada said that it meant, do not mix Judaism and Christianity with Islam while you know the truth. That the religion of Allah is Islam, and the Judaism and Christianity are innovations that did not come from Allah. In other words, we know that the Judaism of the Torah and the Christianity of Isa alayhi salam, they were dhimmis, they were people of the book. These were authentic Abrahamic faiths that we respect, that we love, that we see them as brothers. Muslim men are allowed to marry Christian women and Jewish women. But what I proved to you last week is that fables and things were added and that things had been changed. And this happened within the first 3 centuries of the Christian era. It was in the first 3 centuries that people began to promote that Jesus was actually God, and that there was this Trinity that did not exist in those first 300 years. These kind of untruths. It was reported that Al-Hasan al-Basri said similarly. Muhammad bin Ishaq narrated that Ibn Abbas said that, nor conceal the truth while you know the truth means, do not hide the knowledge that you have of my messenger and what he has or was sent with. His description, which you know about, can be found written in the books that you have. All the original books warn of the tremendous harm and evil of misguiding people and leading them to the fire, because people will follow what one mixes with truth in their claim. Often when I'm doing dawah and often when I'm speaking at colleges, people will say, well, you know, I've studied such and such a religion and I see a lot of truth there. And I've studied such and such a religion and I see a lot of truth there. And I've studied such and such a religion and I see a lot of truth there. But when they're saying that, what else are they saying? There's some untruths too. So clearly it says don't mix truth with falsehood. It is not permissible to mix truth with falsehood together in such a way that the receiver or the addressee falls into confusion as to what the truth is. And the foundational scripture for my life, when I was in confusion, I believe is 1 John 1:9, and it says, if you continue in my word, then are you my disciples, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And that was the foundation, and that's what drove me to Bible college, and eventually to get accepted into seminary, which I did not go. and then to study and find Islam. Because I was confused. I was so confused about religion that at the age of 15, my doctor put me on value. Yeah. I kept saying to people, if this is the truth, why am I confused? Why am I reading one thing and then reading another thing? We're reading one thing in Matthew and reading another thing in Luke. Why are there so many contradictions? How can I be free with this and with these contradictions? It is also forbidden to conceal the truth. So here in verse 40, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Israelites, do not conceal the truth. You know the prophecy of Muhammad. Don't conceal the truth. Imam al-Qurtubi relates this reliable and illuminating story from the Musnad of Darimi. Oh, okay. Let's get up to date here. This is where we're supposed to be right here. And this is a beautiful story. And I think it's a story that we can relate to. It's quite long, so be patient. But I think it has a great message. He was visiting Medina, and the Umayyad Caliph Sulaiman ibn Abd al-Malik wanted to meet someone who had lived with the companion of the Holy Prophet, if one was still alive. So let's try to imagine that here's this caliph, like the president, and he goes to Medina and he's in search of someone that lived at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which would be perhaps a tabi'in or a tabi'in because of the time of this story. Okay? He found that the only one left in Medina was Abu Hassan, who sent for him. The caliph said to him, Abu Hassan, why have you shown such discourtesy and disloyalty? So here's the caliph saying, here I'm coming, like the President of the United States, how could you not come and see me? I'm important. Don't you know who I am? Everyone who is anybody in Medina has come to see me, but you haven't, complained the caliph. O chief of the Muslims, may Allah protect you against saying something which is not true to the fact, Abu Hazm said. Now, how many of us would say to President Obama, may Allah protect you against saying something which is not true to the facts, Mr. President? You have not been familiar with my name before today, nor have I ever seen you. Things being what they are, how could I come to meet you? Is it disloyalty or discourtesy? The caliph looked around questioningly. Imam Zuhri spoke up. Abu Hassan is right, and you are wrong. Can you imagine if I said this to President Obama and Imam Tariq said, Imam Sykes is right, and President Obama, you are wrong. Changing the subject, you can tell this is a politician here. Changing the subject, the caliph asked, Abu Hassan, how is it that I don't like to die? Now what a change of subject here. Abu Hassan said, the reason is simple. You have made your world to flourish and turned your habitation in the other world into a desert. Naturally, you don't like to leave a flourishing city for a desert. The caliph admitted that it was true and presented another question. What would it be like when we have to appear before Allah tomorrow? Abu Hassan said, the man who has been doing good deeds will present himself before Allah like the man who returns from a travel to his loved ones. How the man who has been doing evil deeds will appear like the slave who had run away and has now been brought back to his master. One of them is happy and the other one is full of fear. The caliph burst into tears and said with a sigh, I wish we could know how Allah would deal with us. Abu Hazm replied, assess your deeds in light of the book of Allah, and you will know. Which verses of the Holy Quran can help us do so, the Caliph asked. Here is the verse in Surah 82, verse 13 to 14. Surely the righteous shall be in bliss, and the transgressors shall be in a fiery furnace. Can you imagine saying this to the President of the United States? The Caliph remarked, Allah's mercy is great. It can cover even the wrongdoers. Abu Hazm recited another verse. Surely the mercy of Allah is close to those who do good deeds. Close to those who do what? Good deeds. The Caliph advanced another question. Tell me, Abu Hazm, who is the most honorable among the servants of Allah? Those who are mindful of their fellow human beings and possess the right kind of understanding to know the truth. The Caliph said, which is best among good deeds? Abu Hazm said, fulfilling the obligation laid down by Allah and keeping away from what He has forbidden. The Caliph said, which is the prayer likely to be accepted by Allah? The prayer of a man for whom? Who has done him some good. Which is the best form of charity, the Caliph asked. Giving as much as one can in spite of one's own need to a man in misery without trying to make him feel grateful and without causing him pain by trying to put him off. How many times have we seen people say, aren't you going to say thank you? I mean, really, I've done all of this for you and you can't even say thank you? So then he says, which is the best form of speech? Speaking the truth plainly, I'm sorry if I'm stepping on some toes with this little story here. Speaking the truth plainly and unreservedly before the man who can harm you in some way or from whom you expect a favor. You know, this is amazing because last night we were talking about permissible forms of backbiting because the previous halakha we had talked about the prohibited forms. And we were talking about the importance of saying just what you need to say. Now Abu Hazm has it. He just goes zzz, right to the point. It's like a laser beam. And he just says what he needs to say and goes on to the next thing. What kind of man is the wisest among Muslims? The Caliph asked. Abu Hazm said, he whose actions are governed by obedience to Allah and who invites others as well to it. The Caliph then said, what kind of man is most stupid? Abu Hazm said, he who helps another man in committing some injustice. Now remember, he's talking to a politician here. Which comes to mean that he has been selling off his faith for serving the worldly interest of that man. The Caliph agreed with all this and then asked him pointedly, well, what do you think of me? Abu Hazm wanted to be excused from replying to such a question. But the Caliph insisted that he should say a word of advice. Abu Hazm said, O chief of the Muslims, your forefathers established their rule over the people with the help of the sword and against their will. After killing hundreds of men, having done all this, they departed from the world. I wish you could know what they themselves are saying after their death and what people are saying about them. Quite confrontive. Sounds like a therapist. Fearing the Caliph would be displeased by such plain talk, one of his courtiers rebuked Abu Hazm for having spoken so rudely. He replied, no, you are wrong. I have not said anything rude, but only what Allah has commanded us to say. For Allah has enjoined upon the ulama to speak the truth before the people and not to conceal it. Surah 3, verse 187. The Caliph didn't have enough. He asked, all right, how can we reform ourselves now? Abu Hazm said, give up your pride, acquire a spirit of fellow feeling for the people, and give them justly what is due to them. And he's probably doing, say, what? Abu Hazm, is it possible that you come to live with us? So this politician is taken by this simple wisdom and says, can you come and live with us? Abu Hazm says, may Allah protect me from it. The Caliph says, why? Because I am afraid that if I live with you, I might begin to like your wealth and your grandeur and have to suffer a grievous punishment for it in the other world. Well, the Caliph said, is there anything you need? What can we do for you? Abu Hazm said, yes, I have a need. Please help me to save myself from hell and to enter paradise. The Caliph said, this is not in my power. Abu Hazm said, then there is nothing you can do for me, sir. The Caliph asked him to pray for him. Abu Hazm made this prayer, O Allah, if you approve of Suleiman, make the well-being of this world and the next easy accessible to him. But if he is your enemy, drag him by the hair towards the deeds you approve of. Pretty powerful prayer. I think beautiful words and eloquent speech meant something different then. The Caliph then asked him for some special advice. This Caliph was really brave. If he hadn't taken enough of a beating from this guy, the story goes on. Abu Hazm said, I shall make it short. You should have the fear of your Lord and reverence for him to the degree that he never finds you present at the place he has forbidden and never finds you absent from the place where he has commanded you to be. Powerful words. Later on, the Caliph sent 100 gold dinars to him as a present. Abu Hazm sent the money back with the letter saying, if these dinars are the wages for my words, then blood and pork are in my eyes cleaner than this money. If you believe that this money is my due from the public, this is a French word, exchequer, right? Yeah. Then there are hundreds of ulama and servants of Islam. If you have sent the same amount to each one of them, I could accept the money. Otherwise, I do not need it. Now, folks, I'm not finished, but I hope you're waking up. This story, to me, speaks volumes of where we need to be when it comes to selling the truth that we have for a sultry price. Because you see, this man, Abu Hazm, was not for sale. There was no circumstances for which he was for sale.
He's also known as Suleiman.
No, Suleiman is the Caliph. Abu Hazm is the advisor here, the one who lived at the time of Rasulullah. Abu Hazm's refusal to accept the wages for giving advice clearly shows that taking wages for an act of worship or obedience to Allah is not permissible. Just something I would throw in there. But I think that probably I could have done a lesson on just this story today. In terms of what we're talking about, don't sell truth for falsehood. And that's sort of when we come up and we start making excuses for Islam. People do that. You see, when I go to colleges and people ask me questions like, where does Islam stand on homosexuality? A lot of people try to dress it up, make mutton look like lamb. I just say marriage is, I just say straight out, marriage in Islam is for a man and a woman. We don't acknowledge that men can marry women, men can marry men, or women can marry women. Sex outside of that marriage with a man and a woman is not acceptable in Islam. Having said that, we respect all human beings because they are the creation of God, just like we respect all animals. We're not allowed to curse the camels, as I shared last night. We're not allowed to curse the dogs, or even speak in a bad manner to them. In verse 43, and perform a salah, and give zakah, and bow down with the Araki'im. Now, who is this speaking to? The Israelites. Muqatil said Allah's statement to the people of the book, and perform as-salah and give zakah, commands them to perform the prayer behind the Prophet and pay the zakah to the Prophet and bow down along the Raki'in, commands them to bow down among the Ummah of Muhammad. So those people of the book that were alive, that's what it means there. That's who they were speaking to. They were saying this is the continuation of the Old Testament and the New Testament. Follow this prophet. Bow down with these people. Pay zakat with these people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala therefore commands the people of the book to be with and among the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In addition, Allah's statement in bow down along with our raki'in, means in be among the believers, performing the best deeds they perform, such as, and foremost, the prayer. Many scholars said that this ayah, chapter 2 and verse 43, is proof for the obligation of performing the prayer in congregation. And some scholars say particularly for men. Verse 44, enjoin you al beer. Now that's not a beer like Miller High Life or Bud Light or anything like that. I just want to make sure nobody misunderstands me here. That means piety and righteousness. Oh, okay. Thank you for helping me stay up here. It means piety and righteousness. And we don't get piety and righteousness through a can or a bottle, okay? It comes from the Holy Quran and the truth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given. So I just want to make sure that you don't think that's a misspell or anything.
Beer, not beer.
Beer. Okay, I'm not going to say it well. I can just tell you straight out. So you know what I'm trying to say and you know what I mean, okay? So there were people that were teaching Quran, and you have to just look at my heart, okay? Because my Arabic's not going to be like someone that grew up in an Arabic country, and you're just going to have to get over that. I love you, and just pray for me that one day the tongue will loosen and I'll be able to speak it as beautifully as an Arab. But if not, it's good for my humility.
Only
And it sure is good for my humility.
Only Saudi Arabic can speak the